Hello and welcome everyone to Ananke's third edition of Women in Literature Festival. I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce our next panel titled Women in Literature versus Women in Reality. This is a Readomania panel, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Chetna Keer, Anuradha Ramachandran, Anupama Jain, and Shalini Mullick. And with this, I'll hand over the proverbial mic to Chetna. Welcome, Chetna.
Thank you, Sabin. And first of all, felicitations on a great WLF 2023 to you and to your team, Ananke. And thank you to Readomania also for having us on board. And so we'll just set it rolling, and I think we'll all just introduce ourselves very, very briefly and get the session rolling. So I'm Chetna Keer. I'm the author of 3 books. And the latest was Gidha on my Gul Mohar. And I'm a columnist with the Hindustan Times. I'm a TED Circles panelist 2020 and a guest faculty at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. So now next we'll ask Shalini to introduce herself, and then we'll go anti-clockwise with her, right?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Chetna. Thank you, Sabin and Readomania for this absolutely lovely opportunity. So I'm Shalini Mullick. I'm the author of this little book, Stars from the Borderless Sea. I write fiction, I write non-fiction also, and I am a practicing doctor. So I try to strike a balance between these two things and get the best out of both the worlds. And I'm based in Gurgaon in Delhi NCR, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with all these lovely authors.
Okay, over to Anuradha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anuradha Ramachandran, author of The Secret of a Telltale Diet. This is my debut novel published with Readomania. I'm a fitness enthusiast. I'm a baking enthusiast. I'm a homemaker. I'm a mother to 2 brats. And I'm so thankful that Readomania chose to publish my book this last year. I'm so happy to be part of the family, and I'm so honored to be amongst such an august panel of speakers and writers, and I'm really honored. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's hear it from Anupama Jain, AJ to us.
Good evening, ladies. I'm Anupama Jain, author of 3 books. 2 of them I'm holding in my hand. One for the adults, one for the kids, or young adults, adults who are young at heart. I am a writer, I'm a blogger, I'm a mentor, and I'm also a community builder. And I'm a closet master chef. And I hold a couple of hats on my head, trying to make sense of the multiple hats that I'm trying to, hold on to without losing my hair or my sanity, which I fail often. But still I chug along, and it's a great happiness to be sharing space with such lovely authors who have written such diverse books. Thank you, Readomania, and thank you, Ananke. You guys are spectacular. It is a pleasure to be back here.
Thank you, all of you. And so we'll just have a starter round as an icebreaker. So I'll just go alphabetically in asking this time, and we'll change the order next time. So starting, So starting with Anupama, your one favorite, female protagonist.
Draupadi.
Okay. And one quality of hers that you think is the most real.
I think she is an amazing woman. I had written multiple stories and poems on her, which have given me a lot of awards. But what without sounding very flippant, to hold on to her real self while managing so many people in her life, and managing to hold on to her dignity while the society heaped so many indignities on her. And I think she is the alpha woman for me. ever. And it's
Okay.
sad that except for our president, we have rarely heard anyone being named Draupadi.
I know, that's sad. But anyways, we have the president, right? So Anuradha, your favorite bad girl from fiction.
Bad girl. Well,
Yeah.
I was not prepared for this one, but
That's
but
okay.
let me just say, there's this book which has been very well received. It's called Lessons in Chemistry. I don't know if it qualifies as literature, but the protagonist, who is a chemist, Elizabeth Zott, I
Okay.
would think she is a kick-ass bad girl in a male-dominated society. And I would have given that answer if you had asked me about my favorite female character. So shades of negative, shades of positive. I think she has them both. And very unforgettable to my mind. I mean, I haven't been able to get her antics out of my head yet.
Great. So we'll come back to more of that later. And now over to Shalini. Shalini, your favorite, fictional protagonist from contemporary writing.
Okay, so contemporary writing, that's a little difficult.
I
But
know.
so I think the answer is going to be a little unexpected. I'm not sure if it falls into contemporary or not. It's Pippi Longstocking.
Okay.
I love her confidence. I love the fact that she owns herself. And
Okay.
she just takes things as they come and finds her way through every mess. By right means or wrong, we're not discussing that here. But I think it's very important to be able to stay true to your own self, especially at that young age. And I think that she's the kind of person who would retain that throughout her life, even though the book doesn't show us that. So for me, that's very important.
Okay. So now I think we've sort of settled in, and now we get down to a serious discussion. And women in literature versus women in reality. Now that sort of sounds like art imitates life debate on high heels. or if I were to see it in the context of my protagonist, it seems like art imitates life versus life imitates art debate on Bata sandals. So that's Lolita, and so okay. So fiction is replete with very colorful and protagonists of varied shades and varied periods of time. And I think the variety and the types of female protagonists in fiction is as colorful or as varied as the sauces on a Subway sandwich or the masalas in an Indian curry, if one were to put it as a foodie. And anyways, so we have, if we see ancient literature, we have Elizabeth Bennet to Jo March and Scarlett O'Hara. And of course, there is Anna Karenina to Madame Bovary. But then coming closer home, we have, Rabindranath Tagore's Charulata to Amrita Pritam's Puro in the book Pinjar, the skeleton. And so there's so many of our favorite, female protagonists. And personally, I among the contemporary fiction, I do love two books for their female protagonists, which are slightly one of them slightly lesser known, which is Pauline McCullough's Ladies of Missolonghi. I don't know if any of you have read it. So it has a very nice cast of women characters, and a book quite similar to it is Elif Shafak's The Bastard of Istanbul, and its cast of women characters, quirky aunts, and really a bunch of very quirky women characters, all housed in a mansion. Okay, so now coming to you all, I would like all you lovely ladies to talk about some lesser known, you already have touched upon it. So some lesser known, female protagonists in terms of what are probably the two, three qualities which make them very real and relatable, and also which are the qualities which probably are not so real. So we would love to hear you share your take in this context. So let's go now anti-clockwise with Shalini first.
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. I think before we go on to discussing a protagonist specifically, what makes a protagonist real is, for me, she should be flawed.
Yes.
That is important for me, doubly important for me. One is because flaws obviously make a person real and relatable.
Absolutely.
And secondly, it's more important for me in the context of a woman protagonist, because generally women are not allowed to be flawed. And that is a burden that all of us carry and carry very deeply. So for me, etching out any author, lesser known protagonist or well-known protagonist, it relates to me because of the flaws. And when you are flawed and you have the courage to bring those imperfections out, you can be judged. Right. So it takes more courage. So, for example, it's not lesser known. You already named her, but Scarlett O'Hara is a perfect example for me.
Yes.
I don't think anyone can say that she's a woman who's like all nice and good.
Not at all.
Not at all. Absolutely. She's totally kick-ass and, bindas. But at the same
Shalini, even Anna Karenina and Madame Bovary, Lolita, the earlier Lolita, they're all flawed. And, those books sort of evoked so much outrage because the protagonists were so flawed. So yes, I totally, agree with what we're discussing. Carry on, please.
Exactly. So that is, you already named them. So that's the thing that I wanted to bring across, that the same flaws in a male protagonist would be taken very differently and the books would be received very differently. So whenever I see a character etched out, a strong girl or a woman who knows her mind and is not scared to speak it, irrespective of the consequences, that means a lot. Anyone who goes against the tide of the prevailing, for example, Nancy Drew. We don't think of her as a female feminist icon, but given the times in which she was written, and I'm talking about, the kind of age group, to use her mental abilities to not to focus on what girls that age were focusing. So that takes a lot of courage and conviction. So that is another thing which is very important for me. So parallel, what does not work is obviously a character who's all black or all white, a character whose motivations are not clear, will obviously not resonate as compared to the other types of characters.
Yeah. So any particular character that you think whose flaws were really well depicted, who sort of you find inspiring?
I think Anna Karenina would be pretty high on the list there. And of course, Scarlett O'Hara.
Scarlett O'Hara is epitome of a flawed depiction. And okay, so Anuradha, we come to you. So
I think I totally agree with Shalini. I mean, characters, whether they are male or female, only when they are flawed is when you can empathize with them, because you've been there, you felt that, you have thought that, you have done that, and you have regretted it. So that's what makes them very real. Apart from Scarlett O'Hara, who she already mentioned, there is this book called Shaggy Bane by a Scottish writer, Douglas Stewart. It's a very hard-hitting, very tragic story of three children who are being brought up by an alcoholic mother. And this was one of our book club reads. Most of us are moms, so obviously it was very difficult for us to read this book because we kept thinking, why is this mother doing this and why is she doing that? Why is she not able to cut herself away from this drinking habit? She has 3 kids and there's no food to feed them. And, she's drunk and passed out at home, and her kids are going all over town using those coupon cards to get ration and to get this and to get that. And they don't go to school. They're just whiling away their time. So for us, it was a very difficult read. But the woman character was, the character of the mother was written so well. I mean, you can't judge her because you've not been in her shoes. You have not lived her life. You have not been brought up the way she was brought up. You are not in the economic distress that she's in right now. She doesn't have a job. She's obviously not educated. She doesn't have a husband. She finds it hard to keep a husband to her. She's also not well. She's suffering from a disease. So obviously nobody wants to take her on and care for her and spend money on her. So she's left to fend for herself and for her 3 children. And however it is, she manages. Of course, it's a tragic end, but whatever she can, she does. And it's not a Mother India kind of scenario where she is making herself out to be this woman, who's going to give away the last morsel that she has to eat. No, she's selfish. She's driven to get for herself what she wants. And the children are just part of the furniture. But I thought that was a character that was so real. I mean, I'm sure there's so many women, I'm sure, in our country at a certain strata of society who live those struggles every day. We are fortunately not fighting those battles every day. But that's one character that I thought was flawed, but beautifully flawed. And so much so that they actually make you empathize, and they make you not be judgmental about, them. And maybe the next time you meet somebody who's looking like that and very obviously they've lost the plot, you think that, I don't know their story, I don't know where they're coming from, and I don't know what shit they've been through. So I better not judge them.
Yeah, so it has, I think, shades of Maxim Gorky's Mother, to some extent.
I haven't read that. I haven't read that. But so I thought that was a book, that was a character, again, stayed with me for a very long time. And also, Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I'm sure some of you must have read that. That was another character of the mother and the daughter. I mean, I thought that both of them were flawed, and the mother is dominating and domineering, and the daughter is, very, she's very affected by her mother's, she's very influenced by what her mother thinks of her. She's constantly trying to win her approval, please her, do whatever she can. So I just thought all these characters, women characters, were very, very well written, so real, so relatable. I'm sure all of us will connect in some way to these characters.
Yeah. So now we move on to Anupama, and so let's hear it from you, AJ.
Thank you for this very important question. As a mentor, I have taught my students multiple characters who were full of flaws, and how their flaws had changed the course of life. Most of us have read the story about a lady who borrows a diamond necklace from a friend to shine better in a party, and then she loses, and she slogs to pay off the debts only to realize it was a fake diamond necklace. So I think that there is an immense lesson there. It in fact is listed as one of the best 100 short stories ever written. Then there, as Anuradha was mentioning, there was An Angel in Disguise, the name of the story is. There is a mother who's a drunkard with, again, similar 3 children. 3 children, one of them is handicapped, and how she drops dead one day out of drunken stupor. And how there is another lady, hard-hearted lady, whose maternal instincts are awakened by this, by tending to this handicapped child. So there have been multiple characters, but at the risk of sounding boastful, I would hold my character that I have etched out closest to my heart, because this has come straight from my writing, what I fleshed out and what I thought.
we're coming to that in a bit.
It is
And-
that way, yeah. It is a very
Yeah.
flawed character in its
Yes.
own way,
Yeah.
and
So
that's what
I
makes it more evocative for me.
absolutely. So now coming, yes, to as our own, writing, and since we all have, women characters who we have, sort of drawn from real life around us. What we would like to know from you all is how, how do you navigate the space this of the how do you bring out those shades of gray, right? And talking of my protagonist Lolita, she's a lens, she mirrors the midlife blues, and I won't even call them blues because she's a very spirited and spunky pre-menopausal a 40ish woman who's very spirited, and how she navigates the speed breakers of midlife, like ageism, nepotism, issues. So we all, as authors, take a lot of inspiration from characters around us. So I would love to hear from you two aspects of this subject. Firstly, how do you flesh out, the gray areas for the characters that you have etched? And secondly, how autobiographical are your, women characters? So let's start with Anupama, and I think she loves Bollywood, and she must have seen that movie Sita or Geeta because Padma or Bunny Paula really reminds me of. I hope I got the name right. Padma Bunny Paula, right?
I think Anuradha and Shalini have read, and it's got nothing to do with Sita.
No,
Geeta.
no. In the sense that
I
Only
understand
talking
that.
about the title, yeah.
no,
It's
it's
just
just
that
that no,
I
it's not got
understand.
anything to do with Sita or Geeta, but it's like there is a feeble character and the stronger character sort of. So you like when authors do that, they bring that out in one character itself. That was more of a cinematic depiction. So it's about depicting the feeble side, developing, evolving into a strong woman in the same character. So tell us more about your how you bring out those shades of gray, and how autobiographical is the protagonist.
There are two things I would say. See, I think real life is far more startling and grayer than fiction. Fiction many times is pretty sanitized, especially these days, what you see around. So when you keep your character as close to as ground possible, and you draw out from the experiences that you have seen and you have heard, then you can easily etch out as gray as possible. And what was gray yesterday is probably the reality tomorrow or today. So what was looking like, oh my God, how can this character do such stupid stuff? Maybe the de-rigger tomorrow. So think out of the box and keep it as close as to the ground and draw it from your experiences. That is what I would say. And autobiographical, yes, I have. My father, without reading a single word, has pitched this book to all his relatives, saying that it is an autobiographical book. It's got nothing to do with my life.
Okay.
I mean, there is zero, except that I'm a South Indian, and obviously with background that you grow up, you etch up because that's what you are very familiar with. And just as I have become Anupama Jain to AJ, so Padma Lakshmi is the girl, and she goes to the city and becomes Paula. So again, that's a moniker given by somebody else, and it just sounds cool. And the trajectory of her life is most of us would have, undergone that. Most of us have come leaving our hometowns, stayed in hostels, studied, fell down, had a brush with love, broken, got our hearts broken. All these are, very normal stuff. Of course, I mean, what would happen if there was Tinder or, Bumble in those days? Well, that is a novel that I haven't been to that place, so I can't be very familiar. So I have to draw on the experiences of people who have been there. So as I say, sketching a gray character is, again, keep it as close to the ground, learn from yours and your peers' experiences, and draw it, pepper it with a little bit of imagination, and season it with a little bit of emotion, wit, and a little bit of hyperbolic drama. That works.
Okay. So Anuradha, your take on your, character, and how flawed, how many flaws do you like to depict, and what do you like to keep out? And of course, whether it has bits of shades of being an autobiographical book.
Yeah, well, since this is my first novel, I would have to say that it is largely autobiographical. I have drawn upon many emotions and many thoughts and many insecurities and many life experiences that I have been through. I have, I mean, I'm a homemaker, like I said, to begin with. So my life is not all that exciting as those who maybe go off to work every day and meet so many people and have so many interactions. So yes, I have, like Anupama was saying, I have drawn upon the experiences of my friends and family and all of that. But as far as a lot of the thoughts and a lot of the feelings go, they are very personal. They are what I've experienced myself as well. Maybe a lot of the drama that happens in the book, like Anupama said, again, it's hyperbolic. You need to use a little bit of this from here and that from here to make it readable and to make it a little sensational. Yeah.
Okay, Shalini. So your three, protagonists and very contemporary women, and I'm sure you've drawn from people around you in the corporate world, that you see around you. And so do tell us about, how you crafted those characters. Is one character, mix of so many people rolled into one, or, how did you craft your female protagonist? That's what we're interested in.
Thank you, Chetna. So as some of us know, my book has three separate stories, and the protagonists for all three are different. And I think that will answer the second question first, that no, it is not autobiographical because there are three people. I don't think, I think that when any of us, and I don't know if the others will agree, I think when we are writing fiction, we are drawing on a lot of things which we have seen and experienced, as Anuradha and Anupama both said. But at the same time, I don't think that the character we etch out is us. It's a synthesis of so many things. Like my next character could have your vivaciousness, and she could have someone else's dressing style. So I think that's the fun of writing fiction, right? So no, they're not autobiographical, but yes, they are drawn heavily. And like Anupama said, that yes, that is why they are set. One of them is set in a hospital because I'm a doctor, because we tend to come from where we are familiar with. Now, about etching negative or flawed characters, I think the character needs to be true to themselves. Same goes for us as people. All of us have flaws. Some of us have the courage to see them, and some of us don't. So I think the key to that is that you let the character lose in a field of emotion, because emotions are one thing which are always a mix, right? It's never one huge overpowering thing. Happiness will have a tinge of sadness sooner or later. So I let them be, because that's what tells us if I'm scared or I'm angry, that takes me towards myself. So I let the characters be in a situation where they might need to take a decision which is against the convention. And then whatever they do, it will be coming from a place of their flaws, coming from a place of overcoming their own internal obstacles. And I think you have to let the character, as Anupama said, close to the ground so that they can just be themselves. Because if we tell them what to do, then we are operating from our flaws, from our inner space. So that's what I did. And I was actually very apprehensive that my characters would be judged because they do some pretty unconventional decisions, like, having a relationship outside of marriage, choosing to be a businesswoman over a mother. These are unconventional things. And I mean, somehow or the other, I didn't get the judgment, but I got acceptance, and the characters found a space in the reader's hearts. So I believe that, again, it is the flaws and the difficulties which relate. So what I essentially do is I let them be. I let them feel from the heart. What would they do if they were in a particular situation, if they were confronted with a life partner who's not what they turned out to be, and then the decisions they take. So it's the self-awareness of the character. And it's also one more thing, it's also their courage and their conviction, only then it comes through. And that's very important for me when I'm etching the character.
And also, if I may add, once you dispassionately separate yourself from your writing and let the story go forward organically, it will find its way, and eventually it will culminate in a more readable thing. Once you start moving it as per your wish, you're going to keep into it your own emotions, and then the characters will get all messed up.
Okay, so I think we just close to the end of our session. So before Sabin appears on the screen to remind us, so let's have a a quick round of just one-liners, and so I think we'll start with Shalini. If you had to use as an inspiration one of these characters, which one would it be? Miranda Priestley or versus Andrea from Devil Wears Prada?
I really haven't. I'm not familiar with them well enough to be inspired by them, honestly.
Anybody of you who has read it and would like to hear come in?
Definitely Meryl Streep.
Any day, Meryl Streep.
Any day.
There is that scene when she comes, she just throws her overcoat every day, day in and day out. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't do anything. The power she conveys through her movements, it's immense. I've never seen a more powerful scene where, without raising the voice, through sheer movement, she conveys that power. Oh my God.
And even Anupama, even in the scene where she arrives in her office and she sees the first manuscript of the Harry Potter sequel. Oh my God. She doesn't say anything.
Disappointed with you.
Yeah.
I never forget that line.
It's like,
okay, so one, I think all of you can answer this one by one. One taboo topic which you would like to touch upon in your female protagonist in future. So start with Anupama now this time.
Taboo topic.
Yeah.
I have written about everything. Yeah.
Is there anything left that you have not
Okay,
done?
I don't write about I don't write sex scenes because that somehow makes me feel very queasy. I don't do murder scenes. I don't do incest. So all these things are some are very unhappy.
Yeah.
Maybe a little, rather than sex scenes, maybe a little mature lovemaking scene. Maybe it's not a taboo topic, but it's something that I'm very queasy because I make it as messy as homemade burgers. So maybe I could try that sometime. Because I have written about everything under the sun, literally.
So Anuradha, how about you?
I haven't really thought about it. I don't know if there's any such word as taboo. If I think I can write it, I would write it.
Some topics which are really brushed aside and not really taken up. So anything that
Well,
back.
even if it's a topic that's brushed aside, but I feel strongly about it, I'm sure I will write it. So I don't think that's going to really hold me down.
Anything comes to your mind that you would like to at some stage touch upon?
See, off the top of my head, I can think of I have not read really erotica by any Indian writer, and I don't know why. Whatever I have read or tried to read has all been quite sham. So maybe that is something. If I ever think about it, I think I can do it. I will
I
do
think
it.
now Shalini's got her answer all ready because
It's not only that I was last in the row, it's also the question that you've asked. So here's the thing. My book is all about relationships outside the space of marriage. And I think, especially in Indian writing, that is almost taboo. But coming back to your question, I think the way the book has been received also shows that it is not really a taboo, right? Because people have accepted the book. I have not got a feedback saying that, hey, XYZ in your book had an affair with ABC. It's, it is presented in a way that people could take it as this is what happened. So for me, I think I've already written about something that very few people have touched, and I still don't know what I'm going to touch upon next. But I think that is the message here, that when we are taking any topic, like Anuradha said, erotica, it could be sleaze, anything. I also don't write sex scenes and all. The thing is how we handle it, because these are all integral to the human experience. So it really may not be taboo, and people may be wanting to read about it in a slightly different way. We'll never know till we write it. So
so I think we are all sort of already in that age bracket, or we are inching towards that. So 40s, women of 40s have a different set of realities and different set of issues, and in that sense, I thought my protagonist Lolita is every woman, you, me, anybody around us, and where health issues start, cropping up in your 40s and your premenopausal, and your you have so many midlife issues. You have an empty nest, and so in that sense, I thought, the protagonist, she's also going through that empty nest syndrome, and which is something some of must already be going through, or would be going through by the time kids go away for their education or jobs or whatever. So yes, I think we all in some way are mirroring the realities around us. And personally speaking, there are some subjects which I do feel I would like to take up at some stage with my protagonist. And I think one is mental health, and that's a very heavy term. I would like to say, like, things like depression. We all go through that at some stage, and the pandemic was one time. I think most of us, were edging towards the brink. So things like depression and all. I think these are some of the things that we would love to see, more of women characters, depicting these, issues, and handling them, and, giving inspiration also. So, how much more time do we have? I don't think
We
Sabin
don't.
has. So we can go on, I suppose, for another 5 minutes or so.
No, we don't. Actually.
Sabin, are we through with our time?
Yes.
Then we'll wrap up. Okay, so that was a great session, and I'll just wrap it up and sign off by saying that these writerly voices, as the panelists today have voiced themselves, and also their female characters, So the fictional versus the real. So the fictional is as real, I would say, as India's win at the Oscars. So we sign off now with a huge shout out to Sabin and team Ananke for having us and to Readomania for having us here. Thank you so much to all.
Thank you, Chetna.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for this vibrant panel. It was so much fun listening to all of you, and also about Miranda Priestley and so many amazing stuff. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabin.
Thank you, Ananke.
Bye, Shalini.
Thank you, co-panelists, and thank you, Chetna. It has been a pleasure. Live life Queen's eyes, because tomorrow, who knows what tomorrow entails. So keep being the change makers that you are already, and you have words, your greatest weapon in your hand and in your pen. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.